You like being in the van though, don't you? You look much smaller in this van than you do in the California. Well, welcome back to Bus and Beyond. Last time you saw the VW Crafter, we were over at Campervan Culture getting the roof rack fitted. So that's all on. It's fantastic. We've got the solar panels on there and the cables are fed through down to where we're going to have all the electrics. But most of the focus has been doing up the garage, which again looks like a bit of a tip at the minute because we've been chucking everything in there that's arrived. I've basically got parts coming all the time for the van. Just when I think of it,
as you can see.
Yeah, when I think of it, it gets delivered, and then yeah, I can crack on with it. And a lot of stuff as well is still taking a long time to be delivered. But yeah, let's have a look inside and show you what we have done so far.
You've got noisy breath and noisy feet, Eben. Haven't you?
You like being in the van though, don't you? You look much smaller in this van than you do in the California. As I said at the start of the video, you last saw us with the sorting out the roof rack, and we actually bought one of these off Amazon. This is a telescopic ladder, and the beauty of it is it's obviously really small when it's stored away, and then it just locks into place, and it's like 3.1 meters high, and then there's guides on the actual roof rack. So all you do is just lift this up, slot it into the guides, and then we can easily get up onto the roof.
Go on.
You want me to go up on the roof?
Yeah, go on. It's pretty terrifying, isn't it?
It is pretty terrifying, I must say. Oh. Don't walk underneath a ladder. I was already here.
He's not moving. Oh, gone.
It's the thing that scares me is like you just hope that this is all locked into place. That's the scariest bit.
It is. It's so tall.
It is.
Right, and now I just remove the ladder.
You wouldn't actually be able to get down at all. Well, you would. You just break your legs doing it.
Yeah, maybe don't do that.
A few people sort of asked, surely with the way the solar panels are bolted onto the roof, surely anyone can just take them. Well, for starters, you need a tool to unbolt them. We can lock them on there anyway, but the main security is it's really hard to get up here without your own ladder with you. You be careful.
It's a bit scary. Ooh. Actually,
Yeah.
This is the first time I've been up here.
So you've got a bit of a platform here, and then obviously the solar panels got there. Anyone that was asking why aren't the solar panels side by side? Well, for starters, they won't fit, but then we plan to have front runner boxes down this side, so you'd be able to put the ladder against that side here and clean the solar panels, and then put the ladder against that side and get stuff out of the boxes. So we'll show you them at some stage, but we will actually need to rejig this slightly because we need to take one of the slats out about there, no, probably about there actually. Take one of the slats out, and that's where we're going to put a small vent for the bathroom or shower room, but we'll look at that in another video. But yeah, it's one thing getting up here, it's getting back down again that's a little bit terrifying, I must say.
I can imagine. Do you want me to take the camera
Yes,
again?
please. I've not got to the walking around on the top kind of like Jed when we were at Campervan Culture was just easy, just walking around the top, not bothered at all, but he obviously does it far more than I do. Right, let's have a look inside. Now, the biggest job that I've been doing in here at the minute anyway is running all the cables for all the appliances and the lights and that kind of thing. Now, the easiest thing is running things like the fridge. We know where the fridge is going to go, we think. And obviously...
Will it go in vicinity here somewhere?
yeah. So obviously this is where the kitchen is, so we assume it'll be here. And also things like the solar panel, well, they can only come out of one. They're only coming out of one part of the roof, so the cables have got to get from there to where it's all going to be housed and fed, where all the batteries are going to be. But the difficult bit is sort of working out where all the cables for the lights are going to go, because in an empty van like this, you don't 100% know where you want lights or where you want sockets. It's hard to do it when you're in such an empty van like this. But let me hand you over to Lizzie and she'll explain what she's been doing with this.
So obviously when it comes to things like lighting in the van, we really have to consider about where everything is going to go. Now I know we put the lines on the floor of the van, but obviously plans are constantly changing and evolving. So we needed something that we could sort of follow and change as time goes on. So we've been looking at lots of different inspiration through magazines. I actually found a great magazine, VWT magazine, through the Readly app. Now Readly have very kindly agreed to sponsor this video. Now this VWT magazine told us 5 steps to organising your interior, and we've been following those steps fairly closely. I will come to that in a bit, but we've been using the bookmark feature of all the different magazines that we've been inspired by. So if we find a picture that we really like, we use the bookmark feature and then we can come back to it and find that exact page in that magazine. The fact that you have access to thousands of magazines and newspapers means that there is endless amounts of inspiration out there, and we have found plenty. And it's not just vans, we've been finding inspiration on interior design and colour schemes and things like that as well. So it's been really useful to get a real good idea of how we want our van to look. Now Readly is available on your smartphone and your tablet devices. Another great feature that we've found very useful is the ability to download magazines. So if you found, like say VWT magazine, that you want to read when you're off-grid and miles out into the countryside, you can download that and give that a read whilst you are completely off-grid. Now Readly have very kindly given us a offer for all of our subscribers, and that's 2 months free. That can be cancelled at any time, so you can subscribe for 2 months to Readly completely free of charge to try it out for yourself and see what inspiration you can find. So there's plenty of inspiration if you're doing a self-build, or if you've already got your camper van and you just want to tweak things a little bit. There's lots of photographs, lots of different magazines and lots of inspiration in there. So please check it out in the description below. You've also got the link down below here to the Readly app. That's our special link that gives you that 2 months free, and that is just for our subscribers. So in the spirit of following what VWT magazine have told us to do, their second step is doing a layout. Now I've been using the Procreate app for that, which actually was told to me by my tattooist, which was quite clever. So what I've done is I've taken a picture. Let me just get past the dogsticle. It's a bit in the way here. So you're not in this, Bentley, I'm
afraid. If you lift him up, there's blue tape around him.
So I've basically taken a picture from here of the interior of the van. We did completely clear it out, which is very rare for us. We did get a comment recently from someone saying that our van was exceptionally clean and tidy, and I can guarantee that was just for a photo, because most of the time it's just pure chaos. But anyway, so I did actually take one photo of it, completely clean and tidy. Then what I used was the Procreate app to basically draw on top of that and follow most of the guides that we've got on the floor where our furniture items are going to be. Now some of them were missed out. I've just started with basically the kitchen, the bed, the cabinets at the top, and the walls and flooring basically, so that we get a real good idea of where everything's going to go. So on that, I was then drawing in where the spotlights are going to go. So we've decided on 3 spotlights in the ceiling, and this has meant that we can actually show exactly where we want them to go. Then we've also gone for mood lighting that's going to go around the cabinets at the side. Again, we get a really good idea of what the cabinets are going to look like, whereabouts they're going to go in the van. Now I haven't added in the shower unit yet and the seating, because actually we're going to be putting the seating in fairly soon, so we'll have a much better idea of where that's going to go and how much more space we're going to have in the shower unit. So I don't want to start drawing that in yet, because the plans may not be completely right. However, you can see from this, I can just start adding in where everything's going to go and the walls and the floor. And eventually you get a really good idea of what the van is going to look like and exactly where we want to put plugs and things. The best part is I can remove things, I can move them around, we can get far greater idea of what the van is actually going to eventually look like. And it's really exciting, because at the moment this isn't very Instagrammable. But, you know, when you draw it out, you get a really good idea of what it will eventually look like.
And one of the real good features about having an actual drawing that Lizzie's drawn up means that we can actually check that we're both on the same wavelength here. It's one thing sort of being all cabin crew and going, well, if we have a bed here and a shower there. And
I think you'd make great cabin crew, Sean.
but unless we could be thinking of completely different things, but just not voicing them very well. Whereas at least that drawing really helps. And
well, actually, what Sean said, his exact words were, "I can't believe you've managed to draw that up because it proves that you're actually listening to me."
This is true.
I mean, a lot of the ideas were mine as well. He forgets that, but he's the one putting them into action.
So what I have been doing is a few little bits and bobs here and there, really. So I've been running cables in. That's one job that I've been working my way through. I cannot believe how expensive cable has got now. I bought 2 drums, 50 metres of cable on each drum. One was 1.5mm 2-core, one was 2.5mm 3-core, and it was £167 for 2 drums of cable. The defining factor of where all the cables are going is this is going to be underneath it's going to be in the garage underneath the bed. So this is where the batteries will be housed, and this is where the cables begin or end, depending on which way you're looking at it. What I've been doing is running cables through conduit where I can. It's amazing how we've got a double skin on the van, so we've got this inner skin and then that's the outer skin up there. I naively thought it'd be really easy just be able to run the cables easily between the 2 skins, like down here, but there's so many welded parts that block the route. So you've got to be quite adventurous, or quite
savvy.
Yeah, you've got to be quite, I don't know that's not a word.
Cagey.
No, it's not cagey. Why would it be cagey? It's not adventurous. What's the word?
I don't know.
Creative. You've got to be quite creative with the savvy and
cagey was my favourite.
Yeah, you've got to be quite creative with the routes that you take with the cables. Now, other considerations for the cables are you can't really run 230 volt stuff in the same conduit as 12 volt because one's AC, one's DC, and you can get eddy currents and all sorts. And so I've actually tried to keep the 230 volt route almost completely separate to the 12 volt. So the 12 volt mostly goes along the top here, the 230 volt mainly goes along the bottom. There's a couple of different ways you can have your electrical system. You can either have 12 volt, or all your batteries powering your 12 volt appliances like your sockets and your lights, and then when it comes to 3-pin plug stuff, a lot of people have that powered off an inverter. So basically the batteries power an inverter which transforms the voltage into 230 volt appliances, 230 volt current, so that you can actually run normal appliances. Or you can go the route that we've done where we're having a completely separate system. Now we're used to that because that's what the California has. The California has 12 volt stuff, and then when you arrive on a campsite you plug your cable into the side of the van, and then that's like almost like an extension lead to the rest of the 230 volt stuff in the van. So we're not using an inverter. The reason for that is because we rarely need to use 230 volt stuff off grid. We've never really needed to. We don't need to boil a kettle because we just use gas to boil water. The only thing that we've ever needed to do really when we're on the move is probably charge laptops. We're quite happy that we can, because we go to campsites quite often, we're quite happy that we can charge that there when we're plugged in, or you can get USB chargers for our laptops. So yeah, we don't feel the need to use an inverter, and if we did in the future realise that we needed to, we can easily add an inverter and another socket in the garage and power stuff that way. So I've cut a hole in the side of the van. This is where the hookup cable will plug into, obviously, the other side of this. Now I actually need to redo this because I'm not too happy with how small the washers are that I use, so I need to put bigger washers on, and I'm also going to put a bit of wood surrounding that just to give it a bit more of a brace. Yeah, just because I think when you plug in and unplug in, it could damage the side of the van if we're not careful. So I'm just going to get a bit of timber, cut a hole in it and put it onto the back, and then screw into that, which will just give it a bit more strength. So yeah, all the cables route back here. Other things, like we've got a big 6mm cable, that's going to be for the fridge. Now I couldn't get that through the conduit no matter how hard I tried, so at the minute is resting in these channels, but these are a bit too sharp. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, so you can get conduit that you can basically wrap it on. Well, you can get some that kind of opens like that. It's like this stuff. Where is it? This is the conduit that I've been using, flexible conduit, but you can get some that is open, and you peel it open, put it around the cable, and then clamp it shut. And it will just protect it when it's inside that bit there. So yeah, so I'll get that sorted just to protect that cable. There's also cables, these are just rolled up and put in the side. One of those will be for a reading light above the bed, this side, and then it goes through this channel and there'll be a reading light on this side as well.
Oh, I need to add that to the plans then.
Yes, you do. And there's also another cable for mood lighting. So we'll have mood lighting underneath the cupboards. And I've also go all the way over this way. We routed cables through here, up along the top, back down here, and there's things like mood lighting that will be underneath cupboards here. And that would be like fairly ambient lighting. It would just be LED strip ambient lighting that you'd be able to probably change the colour on it, because I don't think Lizzie would allow me to put it in if you couldn't change the colour, and also dim it as well. Another cable that I brought across is for the shower room, so we'll have a switchable light and fan in the shower room, so that's what these cables are for. They just come to this side at the minute, because until I put stud work and put walls in here, we don't 100% know where they are going to go.
We don't quite know where the chair's going to go yet, do we? That's the problem. So that is coming in the next few weeks, but we're not 100% sure quite where it's going to go before we decide quite exactly where. Bye, Bentley. Who's just going in there? Where we're going to put the bathroom yet. Yeah.
So that currently has a 12-volt feed to it, and then it goes on to where I think the light / we're actually getting a light and fan all in one unit, so that's why I've not put any insulation here, because it's going to go here. But I need to cut the hole for that, obviously, when that arrives. Yeah, in places like this where you can't, because it's the sliding door, you can't route through here very easily. It's quite tricky. You can even see the factory themselves have routed their wiring loom along here. They haven't gone through. So I've basically followed, and these cable ties are loose at the minute just because I'm running more cables in as we do this. Then they'll all be tightened up, and where I can, I'll fit conduit over the top of them. The solar cables, they route through here, and they've got quite a handy channel. They're fairly small cables for the solar, which is quite handy because it's not a massive amount of current that routes through them. So yeah, they go all the way up to the front here. More complicated bit is sorting out two-way lighting. It's really straightforward if you just want a cable to go to a light switch and then onto a light. That's easy, you just put a switch in that cable and it breaks the cable. It's a bit more complicated when you want to use a two-way lighting, which means if you want to switch it from two different positions, and we want to do that with our spotlights, which will be, as you'd say up north, the big lights. When we want to put big light on, we want to be able to open the sliding door, switch the light either here or on the edge of the kitchen unit, switch the light on, and it'll bring the lights on. But then later on that evening, if we're in bed, we don't want to get out and switch the light off here, so we're going to have another switch over the far side there. So I actually have to run another cable through to the lighting, to the light switch at this end as well. So that has to have a few more cores. So I'll put that in at some stage. That's one of those that I need to put in. And also, I was laid in bed last night and I thought, oh, I need to put a cable in for the boiler as well, which we don't know exactly where that's going to go yet.
Probably the garage though, don't you think?
No, I think it'll either go underneath the seat.
But the seat's going to be moving.
Yeah, but I think you can still do it. I don't think the framework itself, the base of it moves much. I think it's just the top part of the bed that slides. So I think either there or possibly underneath. When we were having the windows put in, I was nosying at VanWorks vans, and they've got a diesel heater underneath, with also a diesel hot water heater, and that was somewhere else. So if that's the case, then yes, maybe part of it will be in the garage, but some of it will be underneath. But I'm going to speak to them when we see them about putting the seat in, see what the best route is. But yes, I need to run a 230 volt cable and also a 12 volt, because I don't know if it needs a 12 volt for an igniter, which I'm guessing it probably does. So we'll have a look at that. So I think that's mainly what's going on with the cables. Like I say, there's still other bits to do. One of the most exciting things though for the cables.
I wondered when you were going to get that out.
The label maker.
Who doesn't love a label maker? What can you write on here?
You can write anything, but...
Oh, you've written awning light. That's rather exciting.
Oh yeah, I didn't tell you about that cable, did I? I ran a cable in for the awning light as well.
Oh, you see, that's a good cable to put in.
Because I didn't know, again, where we're going to put that. So at the minute, there's just tons of cable coiled up here, and it routes back to there. But the real sad thing about putting the awning cable in was that was the time I ran out of cartridge paper in the printer.
I told you were running out, didn't I? Have you put another one in?
No, I need to get one.
No, you can't see it on there, but I told you were running out.
Yeah. So this is fantastic. It's very exciting. But yeah, all joking aside, it is very useful to print stuff off, and I mean, you can see on here, I can then label skylight LED. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, obviously, it's pretty obvious what that is there, but when it's at the other end, when there's loads of white cables all coming through there, it's very difficult to know what's what.
Would you say that's your favourite purchase so far?
Yeah. Another exciting thing that's turned up. This is one of our water tanks. As you can see by the shape of it, it's going to go over the wheel arch at the back. This is a 100 litre tank. It's got fixings already put in so that it can be bolted on brackets, which it comes with, and that will be bolted to a framework basically on this side. So this is going to be on this side of the garage internally. Originally we had thought about putting external tanks, but they were just going to be, some of the ones I saw were going to be so expensive.
Also, we were going to have to consider them freezing if we go to
Yes.
colder places, and that's not really ideal.
No, I think the wastewater tank will be outside, but that's not quite as bad, because if you know you're going to be in freezing areas, you can just sort of leave it open and not worry too much about it. It has an opening on the top so you can get in and clean it, and there'll be enough space between this and the bottom of the bed that you will be able to open it. And then it's currently got a threaded space on the bottom, threaded attachment for an outlet, yeah, and more fixing, so it'll be nicely braced. It'll also be braced from the other side as well. I can't really show you because there's stuff in the way, but it will go over this wheel arch here, and I've made sure that it's a wheel arch one so it can get as far forward and nicely over the axle in the van, just to spread the weight a bit more. These arrived, and these are brackets. They're actually designed for a long wheelbase, and this is a long wheelbase maxi.
Let's have a look.
You've got a few different ones, so they're all fabricated specifically for this job. There's 3 different ones, and they're all designed to fit in just the right place. So what you do is, this one will be bolted there. This one will go here, a bit further back, and then there's one that goes back here. It goes there. And what that will give us is a flat surface to put some aluminium extrusion, so aluminium bar essentially. And then we're able to build a bed frame using the aluminium, same on that side obviously, and then put it all together. I'll show you a bit of the aluminium.
I can see Bee there having a nice little sleep.
So we've got a load of this think this is 45mm by 45mm aluminium. So it's pretty lightweight. I've obviously got to be careful with weight in this van. Oh gosh, and don't destroy the tank. And essentially this will be chopped down a bit, but what will happen is that will be able to sit on there, and then we'll be able to build a framework up to create a bed frame. It's got quite clever little bits on it. These brackets you can see here all interlock, so it's got channels which these route through, and then you tighten them up, and then you do the same going the other way, and you're able to sort of interlock all the framework and make a bit of a crisscross of aluminium, which will give us a base to build the bed frame on top of. You know, we'll probably put slats on top of that just to make it more comfortable. But yeah, it's really, really strong and really lightweight. One last thing, I've put these battens up here. They have been screwed in and also glued on. That will give us a support for the ceiling to go on. I had originally routed the cables through these ribs here, but I got too scared of them snagging on the screws, so I've actually now I've now cable tied them alongside instead, so they're out the way of the screws, which is much better. And also I've started putting some of the insulation up along the top here. Obviously I've not put any here because that's where the ceiling fan is going to go, but the way they're held up is just using these pins. They're just self-adhesive. You stick them on like that, and then it just allows you to slide the insulation straight up onto them. And then you can see on this one here, look, you then just put the little sort of lock slider thing on the top, and it just holds the insulation in place.
Very clever.
But yeah, so although it doesn't look like much, there has been some progress.
I'd say there's been a lot of progress.
Yeah, it always needs to be a lot more though.
I know, but again, like I say, it's not very visible, but there has been a lot that's been going on in the background. So
yes, yeah.
I know you've been exceptionally busy. Lots more to do.
Yeah.
But now that we've got the garage pretty much sorted, we've got a bit more time to actually get on and do it. So lots more of these videos coming in the future. Thank you very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video and found some tips useful, then please share it. Also give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because it really helps us with this van build, with all the other videos that we do. We do a lot of van tours and adventures and all sorts. So yeah, do subscribe if you're not already. It'd be great to see you in future videos. So
thank you very much for watching, and we shall see you in the next video.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Bye.